welcome to Beaconsfield Cycling Club virtual racing, and a surprise for tonight, I'm in on screen in the corner there. So tonight's race, one of the BRT series, it's the London Classique, 38.4 kilometres long, 6 laps, 5.4 kilometres each. The course is largely flat, 196 metres in total of climbing. I mustn't forget to go and follow the riders. All riders starting together this evening. I'll just find someone to sit on there. There we are. We'll sit on Campbell while I finish off the introductory bit. So a huge field tonight, 114 riders in total, but just about a quarter of those, 27 from BCC, so a great turnout, and the Bs are swarmed with riders, I think is the only way of describing that. 15 riders in the B category, 4 in the A, 4 in the C, and 4 in D category. Last ran this race on the 15th of October. The winner there was Tom in a time of 51.09, but it was a sprint finish. He won obviously, but following within a second behind him was Danes on 51.10, Davis 51.10 as well, and if I'm not mistaken Campbell was there. Yes, he was 51.10 at the same time. So we have a few riders that have moved up to category B for the first or maybe second time. Stonham's moved up from C to B. He's in there in the pack at the moment. Also joining him, Collier, I think it might be his first B race. Cermak as well, claims he's a great sprinter. We'll see how he manages to do after racing 6 laps of this. And Charles has raced in B before, but he's in maybe his third race. So the competition in the Bs, up front of course, Campbell, Civita, sorry not Civita, apologies, Campbell, Davis, Lancia, Mayhew, Smith may hang on in there for a while. Further towards the middle probably of the group, that'd be interesting to see what happens now. There'll be the ongoing battle between Collier and Stoneham. Stoneham has the upper edge there, so let's see what happens a little bit later on. And if I can just pick up category A, Lisa there, so it looks as if they haven't merged because they all set off at the same time, but Lisa riding with the Bs. Stoneham's in this group as well. I can see Davis as well. But this is the front of the race, so we'll just sit here for a moment or two. So this is going to be an interesting course. It always is. It is flat, as I've said, but there is 1 or 2 little bumps just coming up towards Trafalgar Square, and it's often the place where riders decide to attack. Let's see who else we can pick up. There is Stoneham now. 440 watts, so he's pushing hard. Hope you can keep that going for the length of the race. But sitting within the group, we'll just move down, see who else we can see in the Lancia. 370 watts, 160 beats per minute on his heart. And we'll just see how that compares. So he averages about 160 throughout a race, so he's on his average now, or just about. I think may, as usual, be the tallest rider in the field tonight. Not the heaviest by any means, certainly from BCC. I think Lancia is around 88 kilos. Campbell still powering ahead with his 91 kilos. This course should suit him. It's flat, he's in with the group, he's riding very well at the moment. He could use that power to his advantage, particularly up the one little bump or the one little ramp. But not to be outdone. Tom, I just saw him go past there, if I can actually click on him. Oh, he's disappeared for now. So this is, as it's multi-lap, should be fairly easy to follow. Now, I don't expect any riders to be lapped until maybe lap 5, something of that nature, but it is possible it could happen a little bit earlier. We'll have to see what happens. So we're now 4 kilometers in, so the lead-in is finished. They're now on the actual course. 6 laps. Wales, I just saw on the screen. There he is. No, it's the wrong one. Back to Campbell. And it looks as if the group is already beginning to stretch out a little. Let's just have a look behind. Yes, there it is. 300 metres. So let's try and determine who's up front. Campbell clearly is. He's in with all the A's. So moving back, what's happening? Danes is in there as well in this front bunch of maybe 25 riders. Lancia still all showing on the same time in this group. Have a quick look behind Lancia, see what's going on, and if we can get an aerial shot. Well, it is beginning to stretch out a little bit. Last week Lancia managed to beat Campbell just on the line. A great sprint. Campbell didn't have it just towards the end. He just didn't quite have enough energy for that final sprint, but a great race from him nonetheless. But Lancia, I think, saved up a little and pushed, but his last attempt at this race was a time of 54.35 and Campbell's was 51.10, so 3-minute difference roughly. So that is a big change. I think he'll be hoping to improve upon that. And there is Campbell. So they're all still in this group. Let's just go back up to the front and see. It's still one group, the front BCC riders anyway. We'll move a little bit further back, see who else we can find. Davis on the screen at the moment, 245 watts, 160 on the heart. He normally averages around 165, so he's nicely warmed up as well. And here we have the first split. So Mayhew Smith. Yes, there's a first split in the leading group. He's in here with Lisa, I can see, and Brown at the moment. 3.9 watts per kilo, 254 watts from him. If we look ahead, this is coming up onto the finish line now, so the riders will pass this another 5 times. So that group ahead is pulling away slightly, maybe. No, hard to tell. Could be coming back together. But they did let them gain a 4-second gap. But further back in the field, Langen is 18 seconds further back. So let's just move. Taff, is Langen in there as well? Shannon's in there. And Langen, there he is. So Taff, Shannon and Langen. I'll just make a note. See if we can come back to them at 6.2 kilometres. They're about 25 seconds behind the group ahead of them, or the B group ahead of them. And then behind them we have Civita, 10 seconds, 9 seconds further back. And Stonham's in there as well. So Stonham's doing quite nicely. And I saw Cermak is another 30 seconds further back, I think. Let's see if we can see him. Jury, Collier, what's happening with these guys? So Jury and Collier in here, 6.5 kilometres, 9 minutes in now, and there is Wales as well. Missed him. Can't click on it, there he is. And Cermak. So Cermak's doing well to stay with these riders. Bear in mind his first race in B, as far as I remember, as far as I can work out. So let's have a look from his perspective. So he would be doing rather well just to sit with this group. can demonstrate his sprinting capabilities later on. And we will focus on the B race today because that is where the most riders are. But until it really gets going, I'll have a quick look further back in the field just to see if we could see some of the C's and D's, although only 8 riders in that group together. But we'll have one check for now. There's Jones and Littlewood. So we've got the 2 Joneses. So Rob Jones just dropping off that group slightly. He's category D, whereas the riders ahead, Littlewood here and Peter Jones are in Cat B, 7 kilometres in. So we'll move back up to the front. The first riders will be on the second lap, or finish their sort of lead in, and the first lap will be on the second lap now. Just stopping here to see if I can see if there are any BCC riders. Martin Wales, 8 kilometres, Cermak with him, Collier with him. 8.1 kilometres and 11 minutes. So if we move forward now, Jury I think is in that group as well. Yes, he is. Hindley in that group too. But it looks as if, so Hindley, Cermak, Collier, Jury, all in this group. But there is another group of B riders further ahead now. Trick is trying to catch them. So Stoneham, Civita is the next group ahead, 20 seconds further ahead. Langentarth and Shannon 6 seconds further ahead of them, so 4 groups of B riders now. This is the second group, I think. Charles, 40 seconds ahead of Shannon, if that's right, if it's showing the numbers correctly. But by himself again. This is seems to be a fairly constant process with him. Not quite sure what he's thinking. Needs to work out whether to stay with the group ahead, ride further back and take advantage of the peloton behind him. But he's probably just trying to see what he can do and how long he can hold on for. So it's a strategy that can work. But 8 seconds ahead of him is Mayhew Smith, who's dropped off from the group that he was with, and 13 seconds ahead of him at 9.9 kilometres Lisa, and just in front of her is Brown, 2 seconds ahead. We should be able to see that as Brown coming around the corner, with Lisa just coming around the corner now. And then we move into the front runners. Davis, Campbell, at 10.3 kilometres Lancia. That is the Flamme Rouge, 1 kilometre to go to the finish line. Obviously not this lap. Danes is in there as well. He's now moved up to category A, of course, so he really needs to demonstrate his abilities here and stop worrying about 4 watts per kilo. Just go for it, which he's more than capable of doing. It's a flat course, of course, so he is the type of rider that prefers the climbs and attacking on the climbs, but he is very competitive, and this is the view the riders will get coming up to the finish line. These riders are now on the second lap, I think, must be, and it looks, I should say, is much further than it looks. It never looks that far once the riders come under Admiralty Arch. This is the same course that's used in the Classique event of Ride London every year normally. Captain Davis 254 watts. Just having a look to see 274 from Lancia. There's about a 10 kilo difference in weight between those two riders, which will explain just the different power outputs. And don't forget, age does come into this as well, not just in terms of fitness, but the maximum that it's possible to push your own heart. But there tends to be an automatic mechanism for throttling that back as riders get older, which is one of the limiting factors for continued high performance, sensibly, I'm sure. Campbell. So this is the front group: Campbell, Davis, Tom. Have I forgotten someone? Lancia, all in here at 12.1 kilometers, 15 minutes, 27 seconds into the race. So Campbell's an interesting rider. He's on 137 beats per minute at the moment, heart rate. His average is normally around 138, 139, and that just is sort of a reflection of the fact that he's a big rider. Slightly slower heart the bigger you get, but by no means a given, so don't read too much into those. But he rides well, with his heart performing just as it does. 12.8 kilometers. We'll have a little look, see if we can pick up Group 2 on the way back. Tom, Davis, of course, still in there. We'll just have a look at Danes, Lancia. They're all there. Brown seems to be the next BCC rider on course. 37 seconds further back at 4.1 watts per kilo. Last race he averaged 3.9, 69 kilos, and he's on 162 beats per minute. Average for him around 158, so he's certainly pushing, there's no doubt about that. Just ahead of him is Lisa, I saw there with the green jersey. I don't think she rode the last race on this course the last time, I should say, on the 15th of October. But moving further behind Brown, Mayhew, Smith and Hindley are the next riders on course. So Lisa's at 13.2 kilometres, as is Brown, of course. Mayhew, Smith 13 kilometres and 30 seconds further back. And I'm sure I saw Hindley there as well, but he's disappeared off the screen at the moment. And behind Mayhew Smith, so Mayhew Smith 13.2, Charles at 12.8. along with Civita and Shannon and Taff. And Langen as well. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the screen, I was looking at the rider list on the right hand side. And Stoneham 7 seconds further back. There's a first look at Collier, so he will be very interested to see where Stoneham is. This could play to his advantage, the fact that Stoneham seems to be a little bit isolated. A rider that does very well from sitting in the pack. There's Hindley there actually. He is about 9 seconds behind Stoneham. So Hindley's with the Collier Cermak group at 13.6 kilometres. So there's a possibility, as I was saying, for Collier to potentially catch up with Stoneham. Jury's in there as well, just further towards the back of that group. 250, 60 watts. And Martin Wales just to the rear of that group. I think Jury's riding much better than he certainly was when he started Zwifting. Now seems to have found his pace, he knows what he can do. And he would probably be very wise to sit in this group. This is one of the small inclines, 3%, just gone down to 1, but 3%. slope. That's probably the best way of putting it. Martin Wales in there is he on the same time? Yes, he's on the same time. So Wales, Collier, Jury, Cermak. So Cermak's doing 286 watts, 14.2 kilometres and coming up for 20 minutes in. Quick look further back. So we'll move back up towards the front, or we'll move back up through the group. So this is the Jury, Shannon, Cermak group at 14.7 kilometres. Don't forget all riders started on the same time, so this is real time in effect, unlike the 1 minute staggered intervals we often have. Hindley, and moving forward, Collier, and then the group ahead of them. I just saw them go past. There's Charles has found some other riders, that's good. Civita there as well. Shannon. They are about 7 seconds ahead of Jury now. And Cermak, Collier. So Taff often ends up riding close to or by himself as well, but doesn't seem to impact his performance too much. There's Stoneham. So he will be competitive in this race, but he will be very interested to see where Collier is, and I think he could well find a new competitor in Charles, although Stoneham's far more experienced at racing, maybe not quite as powerful out tonight, but I think he has a much better chance of beating Charles than the other way around. Civita, 250 watts, 148 beats per minute. I don't know what his maximum is, but seems a little bit lower than I would expect. And then 18 seconds ahead of this group, Mayhew Smith. If I can just click on him. He disappeared again. Saw him briefly, now he's gone. There he is, if I can get it. There we go. So he is 15 seconds ahead of Charles, the Charles group at 15.9 kilometres. So the riders now, let me just look at my sheet, still very much on the second lap, about 16 kilometres in, sorry, so he should have started the second lap now. So everyone will have settled. They will all have picked the groups they're going to ride with. You can just saw behind there riders doubling back and going off in the other direction. Very difficult to make a break on a course like this. Entirely possible, but it has to be completely committed and not just a 20-second push. It has to be for a good 2-3 minutes to get away, much like Stoneham Angus, not Marcus, did on Monday night. Just as I saw it there, Telford gave him an opportunity to be on screen as well in Category D. Not sure where he is in relation to his other fellow riders. So up to the front, I think this is still the front of the field. Let's have a look. Davis, 18.1 kilometres in, 23 minutes. Lancia's still there as well. Campbell, so Campbell, Lancia, Davis. I'm assuming Tom must be as well. Let me just check that there isn't a group ahead of this one. Well, this must be the first group, overtaking a much slower rider. It must be a very slow rider if they've managed to catch up with them on the second lap. Or maybe it's someone that's just dropped off the front. Danes I saw there as well. So this is still the front group. There we are with Danes, 235 watts. He'll be fairly comfortable at that sort of pace. 3.8 watts. Racing comfortable, I should say. It's not an easy ride. And then Tom, in that same group, will be hoping for another win, I expect. And last time did he race? Let's see. Just checking who was in the race from last time. Danes was there as well, as was Brown, yes. So 19.3 kilometres in 24 minutes. I'm assuming that's Hyde Park off on the left. So this group could come down to the sprint. It may change in the last couple of laps. Campbell will be keen to beat Lancia. Lancia is always keen to beat Davis and has done so on a number of occasions. I think, and this is just purely out of memory, so apologies if I've got it wrong, I think Davis might have been third overall in all the Bs, in other words a bronze cup, the last time he raced this particular course. He will certainly want to do that again. So 20 kilometres. Leading riders, Campbell, Davis, Lancia, Danes all together. Moving further back in the field now. Next group up, Brown and Lisa. 19 kilometres, so they're a kilometre behind. Looks as if Telford has been lapped already. So group 2, if you like, of BCC riders is Brown and Lisa. Group 3 I think is going to be Civitar. If I can find them on the screen. Group 3, Civitar have lost. So this group, 18.9 kilometres, is Taft, Mayhew, Smith is with them, Stoneham, Shannon, Langan. Civitar's in there as well. So this is group 3. Mayhew, Smith, Charles is there as well. So I think some riders have come together. So this is looking quite promising as a group overall. Probably half the BCC field. Someone's making a push there. Let's have a look. Just have a look backwards. There is a group coming up behind. Not sure who is in that. Let's see if I can find out. This will be them here. No one from BCC as far as I can see. Oh, Collier. Right. And Jury. Okay, so this is Collier, Jury, Cermak in this group. And they can see ahead of them, just going around the corner now, into Parliament Square, I'm assuming. Or maybe it does a wiggle before that. No, it does do a wiggle before that. So up ahead is the Shannon group, I'll call it. Wales is in this group as well, as is Hindley. So lots of riders have come together. Telford just been overtaken by this group. So they are at 20 kilometres in 28 minutes. Can they catch this group in front of them? This would make it quite exciting. It would make it very interesting actually. The gap is 8 seconds, 7 seconds. This is the steepest part of the course, sort of 5, 6, 7%, but it's very short as it ramps up to Trafalgar Square, but it does tend to spread the riders out, as is happening here. Collier is pushing ahead. That's nice to see. I can grab him on screen, I will. They're catching up with what's happening here. Well, this is the group ahead. They've jumped. So the two groups now 4 seconds apart, roughly. Let's see what's happening with Collier. I've lost him. There he is. Are they 4 seconds apart? Let's have a look as they round the corner and pass under the Flamme Rouge. 1 kilometre to go once again. 20 kilometres. This should be on lap 3 or near enough. In fact, it probably is once the kilometre barrier is out of the way. Okay, so with Collier, Let's have a look behind. No real groups behind, just one or two riders straggling. So in here, Collier, Hindley, Cermak. Wales has just dropped off a little bit. Let's have a look at him. He's just dropping off the back of this group. I would expect him to hang on. He's a strong rider. I'm sure he'll get back onto this group. 21.7 kilometres. Oh, there's another one of our B riders. Just seeing Tamsin. 20.4. So she's about 15 seconds ahead of, behind that group. And I saw Littlewood coming up the slope to Trafalgar Square. White in the D's. There he is. So it looks as if White, Littlewood and Tamsin are all together. But let's see what's happening further up. Action is Wales, Hindley, Jury at 22.3 kilometres. Now let's move further forward. Collier's in that group as well. Okay, let's break away from this group. So 22.6 kilometres in. We'll move forward now. Stoneham, Shannon are 5 seconds ahead of the large chasing group of BCC riders behind them. So Collier's gaining on Stoneham. And in this group, Mayhew Smith, Civita, Stoneham, Langan. I'm assuming Charles is in there as well somewhere. Without clicking up and down through the riders, it's quite often hard to track. But I'm sure he'll appear if he is. So it'd be quite nice if this group stayed together for the remainder of the race, but I suspect they will split up a little bit towards the end. No predictions yet as to who might take the lead on that. Taft, Mayhew Smith, I can see Charles, yes there he is in that group as well, as expected. And there is the chasing group behind them. They are almost there. Let's see if I can get a time gap. 4 seconds, 3 seconds. No. Come on guys, gonna move on. Behind, they are gaining, they are going to catch you. So I mentioned at the start where potentially could be an interesting competition in the not the front of the Bs, but further back with Collier, Charles and Stoneham. That looks as if it's going to happen. They just round the bend and the second group rounds right behind them. Down to 2 seconds now. Let's have a look from their perspective and see what we can see. So they are just ahead. These riders know it. Collier knows it. Now's the time to bridge the gap, guys. Don't wait. Go for it now. You're better off just pushing hard, catching and then relaxing rather than wearing yourselves out trying to catch slowly. A great aerial shot there. And the groups are coming together. Are they coming together 2 seconds apart? Final push and they'll do it. At 24.1 kilometres, which should be, it's lap 3 they're on, coming up to lap 4 if I've been watching it properly. So Collier's up to 3.7 watts per kilo, 260 watts, so he is now pushing hard. He is trying to catch this group, close the gap. He's bridging over. Well done, that's it. And they have come together. So this is a very large group of BCC riders. Too many to list that are in there, but ahead of them, next riders on course should be Brown and Lisa. Let's just see if I can find out at 24.8 kilometres. Whereas the the large chasing group, should we call it, if we call it that, is at 24.8 kilometres. Okay. Try and keep an eye on this gap actually between Lisa and Brown and the chasing group of Bs, about 30 seconds behind them. So Lisa and Brown on 25.1 kilometres. We've lost the rest of them, we've disappeared for the moment. Let's just have a look at the front, see what's happening with Davis and Co. Oh, there's Wales. No, it's the wrong Wales again. Sorry, Martin. There we are. Davis, Danes, Campbell, 27.3 kilometres at 45 kilometres per hour, coming up to another lap. This will be, I think, lap 4 they'll be on now. I'm just about to. There's one rider. Not sure what he's up to. Tom. So this is the front of the race. At 28 kilometres, 35 minutes in. Tom, Davis, Campbell. Have I forgotten anyone? Lancia must be in there as well. Let's see if we can find him. Just crossing onto the start-finish line now. On to, I think, is lap 5 as a guess. Okay, Tom. Let's see if we can find Lancia. There he is. So he's in the group as expected. We'll be thinking even more about how to beat Campbell. And Davis will be playing it cleverly as usual, knowing he can beat both of them. But they know they can beat him as well. So it should be a good competition towards the end. Pushing fairly hard. 285, 300 watts. I don't, without looking it up, I can't remember what Lancia's FTP is. I think it's probably around 330 watts as a guess. Looks as if they're approaching some slower riders now. It's just the way that Zwift is counting times on the loops, the various loops here as the course doubles back. I thought they were out to pass some other riders. So Davis. Okay, so they're leading contenders, 29.2 kilometres. We'll move back in the field. Next, further back at 26.9, 27 now, is Brown and Lisa. And 26 seconds further behind them is the large group of B riders. So Charles, Taff, Shannon, Cermak, Collier, Mayhew Smith. I would have thought he'd be a little bit further ahead. Maybe he just lost the wheel of Campbell, Davis and Co. But he's normally faster than the riders he's with now. And as far as I can see, all are still together, the key BCC riders. In this group, Shannon, Jury's in there. Stoneham on the screen, 27.6 kilometres. Hindley is there. And then it looks as if there is a big gap to the next group of riders. So we will not go back to them at this stage. We will stay with groups 1, 2 and 3. So group 1, the Davis, Campbell, Tom, Danes. Group 2 is Brown and Lisa, and then group 3 is this big group of 10 BCC riders, or more maybe. Cermak's doing well, having moved up to the Bs. I think this pace is probably fairly typical for the Bs. It could become a little bit faster later on though, so it'll be interesting to see if he manages to hang on. Good aerial shot there as they come up for one of the 180-degree turns. And certainly this course proved to be, I think during the women's competition, was it last year, maybe the year before, very, very slippery in the rain, with 6 or 7 riders, if I remember correctly, falling on these bends. But no chance of that on Zwift. It'd be a sad day if you fall off your bike while racing on the turbo. Although I believe it has happened. Okay, so what are these guys thinking of? Collier, Stoneham, Shannon, Cermak, Jury, Langen I think was in there, Taff was in there as well. Apologies if I've forgotten someone just as I'm watching you all ride past. But what are they thinking of at 29.3 kilometres left? This is a 38.4 roughly. It's never seems to be quite as accurate as the description, but 38.4 kilometre race. So 1 and a bit laps, 1 3/4 laps left to go. If anyone's going to make a break, now is the time to really start thinking about it. This last 10k will go very quickly. Certainly within 15 minutes as a guess, 16 minutes, something of that nature. So different power the riders are putting out. Let's see. So Collier's on 2.8 watts per kilo. Taff 3 I think I saw there. They've just passed Rob Jones. There is Rob Jones by himself. You can see that group disappearing ahead of him. Hopefully he waved when they went past. And they're back with that group again. Hindley. 159 his heart rate. Normally averages around 158, so he's right on the money, riding well. Will be feeling pretty tough though. Very low cadence, 59. That's unusually low actually. I think he might benefit from upping that a little bit. It's not a strength building race. You may get the advantage from just pushing, just upping the cadence, getting the legs going. Force and speed is more power, and you will tire your legs out quickly at a low cadence. Not everyone, of course, it's different for everyone, but just in general terms, that's what happens. Let's have a look at one of the other riders just to see if there's any difference. Just as we came up that little hill, that makes a difference, of course. If I can find anyone to click on. Shannon on 68, 69, 70, so a little bit higher, but not much. The riders will be getting tired. 97, this is more like it, 96. And that's where I'd expect a competitive rider to be. 6% though on this climb. This is the sort of the final climb, if you like, before the finish. Not on this lap, but riders will attack here. It's the last opportunity they have to do so. They'll attack here, then as they come into Trafalgar Square they turn right and you can see the finish line up towards Buckingham Palace. I think it's about 500 metres ahead of them. So Mayhew, Smith and Civiter, let's see if we can catch them and see what they're up to. With Mayhew Smith, so his cadence 83, 84, nothing wrong with that. Civiter 72, A bit low maybe, but it might suit him, of course. So this has not been critical of any rider, it's just a comparison. Different techniques work for different people, but some things are more efficient. It's probably the message I'm trying to get out. Lisa's low as well, 55, just going around the corner, of course, 83, 84, up and down a bit. So they are now, let's see, they were, last time I reported, 30 seconds ahead of the chasing mass of bees. Now it looks as if they're 10 seconds back perhaps. See if I can work it out. Yes, they are 10 seconds behind. So the chasing bee group is 10 seconds behind Lisa and Brian, so they're gaining rapidly. And I think it is this group that is gaining as opposed to Lisa and Brown slowing down. They seem to be holding a fairly consistent pace. But I must remember not to forget the finish. So I will have a look and see if anything's happening up front. I can catch the front runners. Oh, Wales. What's happened to him? I'm not sure where he is. About 31.6 kilometres, that's where he is, but I'm not quite sure what happened to the group he was riding with. I can find the leading riders here. It's not letting me get there at this stage, which is a shame sometimes when it does that. This might be them. Let's have a look. 35.7. Yes, this is them. So Lancia, Davis, Tom, Danes, I'm assuming is here as well. 35.9 kilometres in. We will stay with these riders now until the end, just so that I don't miss the finish. Question is now, who am I going to click on to watch from their perspective the sprint for the finish line? Well, Lancia beat Campbell last week and are still together, so logically one would assume Lancia can do the same, assuming they're both fit. Tom, I would expect to beat both of them. Danes could beat all of them, but it could be between him and Tom, I suspect, is what's going to happen. Davis, he can get lucky. He can play this well, and he certainly knows what he's doing. This must be, I think, his 260th race, so with that experience, he knows how to play this game. This is the last push up this hill. Looks as if it's going to finish a bit earlier. Not earlier in time wise, but maybe it isn't 38.4 kilometres. So let's see what's happened on this hill. Lancia. These riders are stretching out now. They've just overtaken Littlewood. This must be the finish for them. Yes, it will be. There's the Flamme Rouge on the left, so that's about right, so it is all adding up. Good news. So who's going to push? Who's feeling brave? 1 kilometre to go when they come round this bend. Is anyone going to try this early on? I'd like to see someone give it a go. So we're with Campbell, riding comfortably for a race finish, 2.7 watts per kilo, well within his capabilities. He's sitting there on the back of the group, looking, watching. They look as if they're all chatting to each other about who's going to make a push for it. Some are starting to, just a little further up in the group, up the par a little bit, as is Campbell now, 4.1 watts per kilo, well back down to 2.4, just a blip. Davis a little bit less. The effect of the draft is significant, depending on your position within the group. Coming up to Trafalgar Square. Nelson on the right, on the left of your screen now. They will now see the finish. So Danes is ahead, Campbell. Here's Lancia up front and going to take it. Some of the riders have gone already. Campbell at 5.2, Davis at 8.5, 8.6. He's thinking of passing Danes. He's passed Danes. Where is Lancia? I can't find Lancia. Has he managed to... Lancia, yes, Lancia's there. Looks like it. Tom's with him. Who's it going to be between Lancia and Tom? Tom's at 10.7 watts per kilo, Lancia at 9.1. And right on the line, looks like Tom got it. Well done. That was a great race. Now, the trick will be, can we find the next group of riders? 36.3 kilometres. That was the big B group, but looks as if they've split up a bit, but I'm trying to catch Brian and Lisa. They're not far behind that group, unless they've all come together. There's Brian, I just saw him flash by on the screen. There's Lisa. So are they all? Yes, they're all together now. So this is going to be a really tricky one to follow to the finish. But it looks as if this group there is Brown just ahead of Mayhew Smith. If we have a look behind, you can see the riders are really stretching out. Lisa's dropped off a second or two. Civitar's up there. Charles is up there. Good ride from Charles. 37.8 kilometres, 37.9, where is Hindley's at 37.5. Civitar 37.4. This is very hard. Very difficult to click on a rider now. Try Shannon. We'll stick with Shannon. Charles is in this group as well. Civitar. Lisa's in there. Who's going to go for it? A great ride from Charles. Who's got the sprint? 1 kilometre to go. Tough. Just move further back. Not that I think anyone... Oh, Jury's dropped 15 seconds off. So is Collier. Where is Stoneham? Cermak is 14 seconds behind him, so he's blown up. But let's get back to the action and the finish of this group. Stoneham. Where is Stoneham? And I don't know. I'm afraid I've missed you. Somewhere in this group. Might just be ahead. Civitar, Lisa. Oh, Lisa and Civitar, they'll be racing each other, probably facing each other in the same room actually. Shannon 4.9 watts per kilo. Let's see who's going to go for it. I'm just trying to look ahead and see who's going. Civitar's ahead, Shannon's ahead, Taft's ahead of Lisa. Mayhew Smith's ahead at this stage. I don't think he'll keep ahead of Lisa though. She's got a great sprint on that. No, he's just she's just overtaken him. Charles is coming in. He's just dropped off a little bit, but he's there. Jury. And it's all gone. It's 39.1 kilometres. going to miss. There's Stoneham at 38.7. Cermak, oh, he's put in a sprint all by himself just across the finish line. So Stoneham's coming in now with Hindley. 11 points. He's got a great sprint as Stoneham, just left Hindley for dead there. Look. Wales 37.3. Is he the next rider from BCC? Quite possibly. I don't think there are many BCC riders left. Telford. Measham. Is that our Measham? I'm not sure. Hasn't got BCC after his name, so if you are, I can't comment because I don't know who you are. Littlewood. No, is he with Tamsin? 35.6. Just have a quick finish off of White's doing well. I think Tamsin is ahead then, so about 1 minute 56 seconds ahead of Littlewood, if that's right. White's in there as well. He'll be getting promoted to Category C at this rate. I won't watch that to the finish. Just have a quick check, one last run through the field before finishing the live stream for tonight. Littlewood cruising, 2.7 watts per kilo. And I saw, there's another Measham there. No, was it the same one? No, it's the same one. Peter Jones, 34.2. Telford at 27.7. Now where is Rob Jones? Is he still in the race? One last look. That's as far back as it is letting me go. So I think that is, oh there he is, 32.2. Find some other riders, going quite nicely actually. 137, 138 heart rate's about average when he's pushing it, so that's a good statistic to watch. Martin Wales, I'm not sure, as I said earlier, what happened to him, but he's just coming across the finish line now. And I think we will finish live coverage certainly. The next race is on Monday evening. It will be the Glasgow Green Cycle Club event. I'm not sure what the route is, but thank you for watching. And